Dustin. What the heck was that?
Stop. They're already dead.
Okay, well, we're going to completely change the narrative because right now we would normally just start talking about the game, but we didn't talk about the Abbey Canucks. We're going to distract ourselves and start off this post-game show by talking about the Abbey Canucks.
The Abbey Canucks coming off a 6-game losing streak, returning home this weekend to face against the Henderson Silver Knights. And happy to report they got off the losing skid and took both those games with wins, getting a 4-1 victory and a 4-2 victory this weekend on Friday and Saturday over those Silver Knights. In game 1, we had Linus Karlsson leading the way with 2 goals. He got his 7th and 8th of the season, bringing him up to 13 points in 13 games played. The guy has been absolutely lights out since returning from injury, really finding his offensive touch this season, which is really great to see. And also adding 2 goals in the same game was Ty Mueller, and one of those was assisted as well by Linus Karlsson. So really good stuff out of our top line there that game. Niels Oman finding the score sheet again with an assist as well. He had been struggling to get some offense going, so really good stuff there Friday night. All the scoring came in the first and second periods, so there was nothing going on in the third. So the Canucks were able to shut it down defensively in the third period, killed off some penalties. There was some misconducts handing out for some rough stuff after some whistles and things in the third period, but nothing major happening. Nikita Tolopilo stopping 29 of 30 shots against that game to secure the win. So a very strong game from him in game 1. Really good stuff. All positive things coming out of that game. And then they backed it up Saturday night with another 4-2 victory. Just picking up right where they left off, taking the lead from the first period 1-0. We had Sammy Blais, who has recently returned from injury as well, getting his 3rd of the season, assisted from Otu Ratu and Christian Wolanin. And then in the second period, we traded goals with Henderson, Arshdeep Bains getting his 3rd of the year, which is good to see him finding the score sheet. He was in a bit of a slump as well. And then in the third period, Oman getting on the score sheet with a goal, and Ty Glover rounding out the scoring for the Canucks on the weekend there to make that one 4-2. And in that one, it was Artur Shilov's shutting it down, stopping 21 of 23 shots against. So good goaltending tandem on the weekend, some good offense. It was nice after losing 6 straight to get home against the last place team in the division and get back on the right side of the score sheet there.
It's good that we can talk about a Canucks victory, even if it's not the Vancouver Canucks. 2 wins over the weekend against the Vegas Golden Knights farm team, the Henderson Silver Knights. And then it looks like we are into the first period between the Ontario Reign and the Abbotsford Canucks over there in Abbotsford.
Yes, we are underway. Ontario opened the scoring early. It was kind of all Ontario early in this one. And then we did have a fight, which kind of we had Dino Cambites getting out there and kind of sparking the team. And we've had just a Linus Karlsson beating Phoenix Copley for his 9th goal of the season, assisted by Eric Brandstrom, playing his first game for the Abbotsford Canucks after clearing waivers, and Niels Oman. So they have tied it up with about 3 minutes to go in the first period. Actually, now we're down to about 2 minutes to go in the first period. So hopefully looking to keep that winning streak going against a very strong Ontario Reign. They are currently in 3rd place in the division, and the Canucks are down around 7th, just 1 game above 500 right now after that 6-game losing streak, kind of put them behind the 8 ball a bit. So looking to gain some points in the standings here tonight by getting a victory over the Ontario Reign.
Yeah, which is the LA Kings farm team, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So on not to clarify for anyone in chat there, when I say Ontario rain, we're talking about Ontario, California, which is just outside of LA, not Ontario, Canada.
I literally didn't know that until you told me that right now. I was like, why would you, as an LA team, want to have your farm team in Canada on the other coast? But that actually makes sense now.
So there you go, little geography lesson for you folks out there in YouTube land.
Swervin Irvin says, "Hey Dustin, thanks for reminding me that Sammy Blais is still alive."
You're welcome. Yeah, no, he actually started the season really well down there in Abbotsford, looking like he was returning from his knee issues and starting to find his stride again, and then went down with another injury. So he's back recently and hoping to pick, and he's basically picked up right where he left off. He's starting to get on the score sheet again. So maybe some veteran insulation down the road, closer to playoff time, especially given the lack of scoring that our guys are struggling with right now.
Yeah, Sammy Blais winning the cup with St. Louis a couple years back.
Yes, we could use some of that St. Louis style January run and turning the season around, couldn't we?
Yeah. I'm just going to keep on letting chat do the interviewing. KJ Brazy, how did Hronek look?
Tired. He looked like obviously a guy who's missed 7 weeks. Not the greatest performance. Obviously, got taken off of the top pairing about halfway through the game. I think we saw other guys kind of shuffling through with Hughes. Little alarming to see Juleson out there with Hughes from time to time, but I wouldn't say it was a bad game for Hronek, but obviously when you're coming off that long of an injury, there's going to be some rust. And when you're going against a high-powered team like Winnipeg, um, it's hard to kind of evaluate a one guy's game in a game that ends 6-1. Obviously, the entire team didn't play well, so it's tough to be like, yeah, Hronek did great. No one really did great in this one, but uh, really, he looks good. Skated well. So obviously, the lower body procedure that he had isn't bothering him right now. It really just looks like rust and needs to get back up to game speed. 7 weeks is 7 weeks. So
Hunter, how is Dakota Joshua's injury looking?
I don't think we've had an update on Joshua in the last little bit. I would imagine we'll get some update on him when the team gets home. I don't think he made the road trip, so I would expect an update from him on Thursday morning when we get a game day interview from Tocchet. I'm sure he'll be asked about Joshua and his progress. It didn't look like it was going to be a serious long-term thing. I believe he's still listed as day-to-day, so we'll have to see. But once he's off the injured list, then there's absolutely no more excuses for these guys.
I think the most recent thing I've heard about Joshua was a sort of a week-to-week kind of thing. So it was similar probably to the assessment that we got from Pedersen and Hughes. So it could be a couple days or it could be next week or something like that. So Hunter, I hope that answers your question on that one. Try and guess who's the only player on the Canucks roster that was not a minus tonight.
Let's see here. The only player, well, I mean, obviously would be the only player who scored.
Yes. It's funny too, because he, like, even the line that he was out with at the time, it looks like they were all a -2 at the point. So Hoglander is literally the only player on the entire roster tonight that was or he was even. So he wasn't a minus. But yeah, everyone else was a -1 at least. Sherwood's a -2. Forbert's a -2. Myers is a -2. And Myers still hitting 20 minutes in ice time tonight. So that's something we've talked about, is with Hronek coming back in the lineup, you're hoping to see Tyler Myers' minutes come down. But obviously, going back to Hronek, it's probably going to be one of those things where, it's going to take him a minute to get back up to that like 23 minutes that he was playing before his injury, right?
Yeah, and I mean, Hronek too even played 20 minutes tonight. It was needed when you're getting filled in by the Jets, but um, I just don't understand how we don't have anyone that'll just get mad and turn it the other way. we just have no emotion this year when we're getting beat like this. We just kind of take it. Um, I don't know. Thinking about last year, we would get beat. We'd have a couple games where we got beat pretty badly, like 7-1. I think there was a 9-1 game. And then we bounced back and we went on long win streaks. This season doesn't feel like that vibe. Just given that we haven't won a back-to-back game since I think it was November 29th. December 1st was the last back-to-back that we've won. And the last back-to-backs in regulation, I think we got to go all the way back to November 23rd to 26th. So that's not good. That means you're pretty much playing 500 hockey the entire season. And this is why we're currently on the outside looking in of a playoff spot. Sometimes you need to try and outscore your problems. And when you're down 3-0 and you come out in the second period and get scored on 39 seconds in, I mean, you can play all the defense in the world, but that's not going to help you when you're that far behind.
KJ Brazy asks, is Tocchet's job on the line?
I don't know if it. See, the thing is we've built a structure defensively that is cup contender worthy when it's on its game. I mean, tonight, obviously, we didn't see the best defensively. Everyone has been playing with certain partners for the last 7 weeks, and all of a sudden it got all mixed up. So you're not used to the communication all of a sudden. You're not used to the nuances of each player. So things aren't as automatic. It takes 2 or 3 games to get into the swing of playing with a certain player. They're mid season, so it shouldn't take too long for the pairings to get more comfortable, but that is obviously something that will be a bit of an issue in this game. That being said, I think they need someone who is more offensive minded in the new game and knows how to play the new style of the hockey game. They need a more experienced coach, I think, to help out with the offense. I just don't think Yogi's the guy. And unfortunately, I think management doesn't really want to admit it. They keep trying to deflect to find other reasons and other issues. But when you really boil it down, the major difference in this team from last year to this year is the offensive structure and the lack of shots and the lack of production. I mean, you can say it's down league wide and you can use all the excuses that, everyone's all stars are struggling to score and this, that, and the other thing. But then you come up against Winnipeg and you get filled in and you see even when they're up 5-0, they keep the pedal to the metal. They didn't slow down. They kept coming at us. I mean, they got 20 shots in the second period and they were up 5-0. So that is the signs of a team that wants to win and will do anything to win. And I just don't feel like we get that from the Canucks. Like, no one's willing to do everything. Like, no one's going all in right now. And that's a bit of a scary thing when you got certain people wearing A's on their chest. Quinn's doing everything he can, game in, game out, as a captain to lead by example, but he's not the guy who's going to go out there and be physical. That's not his job. So someone's got to get angry and got to channel it the right way. I mean, Miller looks checked out. A lot of his back check and his effort tonight was not great. It doesn't look like the Miller of last year who would do anything for this team to win. He looks like he's going through the motions and just earning a paycheck right now. And a lot of them look like that. And it's really frustrating coming off of such a clean victory against Toronto to lay this type of egg in Winnipeg is really upsetting when you're coming home off a road trip. You also had two days off, so you can't use being tired as an excuse. I'm really curious to hear what Tocchet has to say about the game tonight. What do you think was the major issue with tonight's game?
They didn't show up at all. Like they maybe had a couple good shifts to start. Like we just got a question from Hunter: is PD doing good? And like PD to start this game looked like he was going to be having another beast mode game, right? But then
Yeah,
it
I
just
mean,
all
he looked
fizzled out,
great.
right? Like immediately.
Well, I think it was a good start for the team in general, and then this is something that wasn't affecting the team last year. A bad bounce and an unlucky goal ends up in the back of the net, and it just completely deflated the team and completely changed the game. Like bad bounces are going to happen. You can't fall in and give up and be sad. You got to turn around and make something of it. But instead, they fell back. They started to get worried and they play scared. And then suddenly it's 3-0, and you have to completely change the way you were going to approach the game. And they just don't have that style anymore of offense that can get out of a 3-0 deficit. I mean, when we're down 2-1 or down 2 goals, yeah, sometimes I feel like we can get there, but when we're down 3 goals right now, this team, I just don't have the confidence in this team like I did last year, where they would come back with these miraculous comebacks and play with desperation.
Calvin 99 Charlie, who stood out for you besides Lanky?
Positively or negatively?
Yeah, I was gonna
Because
say.
could have gone either way. Negatively, Miller definitely stood out on a couple of the efforts that he put out there today and lack thereof. Positively, I thought Hoglander and his line had a decent game. I thought Forbert actually had a pretty good game. He got a couple of shots on net, getting shots through. He looked pretty good out there. But yeah, not a lot of good out there tonight from the team. You know, Miller was really poor in the face-off dot tonight. I think he was let well under 50%. Um, it was just kind of a loss by committee. The whole team not really putting forth their best effort, but still, I'm looking for that guy, the glue guy. We just don't have it, and I've talked about it all season. It still feels the same way since week one. Um, Everyone's healthy except Joshua again, like we for the beginning of the year. Uh, can Joshua come back and make that big of a difference? I don't know.
Swerve and Irvin says, speaking of paychecks, what kind of contract is Brock Besser going to get command at this rate? Because obviously, with him being as streaky as he is, do you think this season has affected the amount of money he's going to get, or is it pretty much just like par for the course? He's still going to be looking for that 8 million for 8 years.
Well, I think it's gonna for sure affect his value on the market. Um, Obviously, there's still half a season to go. He could catch fire, and this whole team could get on a roll, right? And suddenly he's got 35 goals or something at the end of the year. That being said, when you look at the foot speed and just the overall game of Brock Besser, if he's not with a playmaker who can get him the puck, he's not going to be as productive. He's not the type of guy that you pay to be the difference maker. Yes, he can score, and yes, he's a good shooter, but he needs some talented insulation. So, in that sense, I hesitate to give him the large amount, and I also hesitate to give him the term that he's looking for. Like, I think he wants to sign his retirement deal, but yeah, I just don't think you can commit that to him right now. That being said, there is speculation that the cap is going up to $9 million next season, which could change a lot of things when it comes into free agency and re-signing some guys. And there's other pieces that obviously need to be signed as well. So we cannot overcommit to someone like Brock Besser. I love Besser. I love everything he's brought to this club. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and you got to think about what's best for the team in the long run, and getting to that Stanley Cup, and signing Besser long term for high dollars is just not, for me, not a wise decision.
3 stars of the night. Take a wild guess at who the first star was.
JT Miller.
Yeah, it was JT
I mean, it's got to.
Miller, Jake DeBrusk, and Phil DiGiuseppe.
Yes, absolutely. Of course. I mean, well deserved. No, I mean, it's got to be Kyle Connor.
Yeah.
He's I mean, you get a natural hat trick in the first period, you pretty much solidify your
Yeah.
your first star.
Second star?
Yeah, that I mean, the Canucks did manage to get 24 shots on net, so I guess Hellebuck might have gotten some consideration
Yep.
there.
Second star, Hellebuck. Third one, I don't think
And
you're
then
gonna get. He got 3
third
assists
one,
tonight.
I have no clue. I mean, if you go maybe Niederreiter, he had a goal and an assist.
Velarde ended up getting it. He's got the 3 assists tonight. So,
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, three
fair
assists,
enough,
yeah,
right?
fair
But
enough.
yeah,
I
Connor
mean,
Hellebuck,
take your pick.
1 goal against and a 9.58 save percentage, right? So, I mean, but one of the, I mean, he gave up a goal, and that's more than he usually does. And then even looking at the scoreboard too, like Niels Hoglander, his goal ends up being unassisted, right? Because he steals the puck off a player, skates it in all of his own. So literally 1 point went out to Vancouver Canuck players tonight.
Yeah, not a good performance offensively. And I mean, you can say all the things you want, like, oh, Hellebuck's a Vezina goalie and this and that. And oh, the Canucks did get some shots on net. But how many of those shots on net tonight felt like they were going to end up in the back of the net?
They look
Not
like my
many.
shot. They look like muffins, right? Like
They were all perimeter, wrist shots, nothing other than the Hoglander shot that was bar down, like short side over the shoulder, like just a perfectly placed shot. Really no dangerous chances tonight. It kind of felt like the Carolina game, only against a very high powered team.
KJ Brazy wants to know if there's anyone that the Canucks should be targeting as a for a trade. Is there a specific player you think that is high on the list?
Given the defensive metrics that this team has been able to build, I think, yes, we would like a puck moving defenseman. However, we have the shutdown style of defense that you need to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm looking for a top 6 winger with some speed and a bit of grit. Um, it's really the thing we're lacking right now is speed on those top 6 in the top 6. We're not low, but we're also not the fastest team in the league. So we need someone who can carry the puck with speed through the neutral zone into the offensive zone, so we have more options than the dump and chase. Um, we gotta widen the playbook a little bit and moving moving a couple players or prospects or a draft pick in a draft that's, they really don't even know who's going to go first next year. There's no like solid first overall pick. So moving your first round draft pick next year really probably doesn't hurt the organization much. If the goal this year is to win a Stanley Cup, um, then they got to go after a big fish. One of the biggest issues right now is the parity in this league. When you look in the East, I mean, the team that's 9 spots out of a wild card is only 6 points back of the wild card. Like they're not going to start selling their players if they're that close. So, last year there were a lot of teams that were definitively out of it by now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we might have to wait right to the deadline to see where everyone sits and where all the dominoes fall. Like, I know we've gotten used to Alvin and Rutherford pulling the trigger early, but if you can't find a dance partner and get the proper value out of a trade, then you really don't want our organization sending our guys away for a bag of pucks or not getting what we need back. Just for the sake of shaking things up and just for the sake of making a trade. Um, do I want to see it? Yes. Do I think it'll happen? Um, it's really hard to say because the market right now is really tight for trades. There's no one really moving up or down or falling way out of it. So until that starts happening, uh, unless there's magic pulled off by Alvin or some serendipitous trade falls out of the sky, I would expect another couple weeks of this roster that we got right now.
Looking at the standings, Tampa Bay sits 13th overall in the entire standings with 49 points. And you go all the way down to 28th, which is Seattle, and that's 41 points. So we got 8 points that are separating 15 teams.
Exactly. So that's why it's so hard to find a trade partner right now. And you don't want to end up overpaying. So it's, yeah, it's tough.
Last question from chat I'm going to take here from Rome. Toronto and Winnipeg are measuring sticks. How do we stack up against the top teams after these two performances against the Leafs and the Jets? And I think the answer is probably, who knows, because Canucks are chaos.
Yeah, until we find our identity and decide if we're going to be the team that played against Toronto or if we're going to be the team that's played against the Jets, because there's also the team that played against Florida and beat Florida Panthers, and then there's the team that played against Carolina that couldn't score. It's been a Jekyll and Hyde season all year. I'd love to say that in a 7-game series, if we have home ice advantage, we might lose that series. So, I mean, given that we're kind of trying to sneak in and we're playing on the road more, maybe we like our odds in a road series, but we're just playing the type of hockey that is a dangerous, dangerous game to play. It's a fine line between dropping 10 spots in the standings and climbing 3 or 4 spots in the standings. It could happen in a week with the parity in the league. So we need to figure out either something internally needs to change. We need to either bring up a couple of the guys from the young club and sit some of our guys, or I mean, I know that's difficult to do with the cap and things like that, but something has to change because we can't keep doing one good game, one bad game, one good game, one bad game, one good game. This pattern can't continue. It won't be a success in the long run. So, yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did.
Yeah, I lied. One more last question from KJ Brazy. Should we have kept Sprong for his offense?
Oh, that's a tough one. Given the news that we now know about Sprong and why he has been kind of moved around for the last couple of years, given his legal issues with an assault charge against an IndyCar driver. No, you don't want that kind of negative issues around your team, especially when it hasn't been settled and there's still court proceedings and things to happen. So there's going to be distractions around that player. Everyone knows his talent. He doesn't belong in the AHL. Like, he played a game down there for Coachella, scored 2 goals and got an assist, and just looked like miles better than any other player on the ice. However, you reap what you sow, and if you go out and do something like that and then the truth finally comes out, it's tough to, I believe in second chances and things like that, but he doesn't seem to have owned it and kind of got in front of it like he should have. It came out a couple years later in the wrong ways, and I just think Sprong's best left where Sprong is.
Yep, down in the minors.
Good questions, though.
Yeah, thanks everyone. That made it easier because I'm really, I'm not happy with how the Canucks played tonight. So it was hard for us to like sit here and try and come up with anything to talk about because, like Dustin says, it's Jekyll and Hyde. Like, you never know. It's chaos. You never know which Canucks team is going to show up. So who knows? Got the Kings on Thursday night, 7:00, back at home. I think playing at home might be a nice cure for the Canucks, but they are playing against another really defensive team in LA.
I mean, it might be the lowest shot total game we see in the history of the NHL on Thursday.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens. We'll see what kind of lines they run at practice. See who gets back into the lineup. I hope the Lecker-Mackey down the line experiment is over. He's doing his best, but you're neutralizing his offense by not putting him with offensive players.
Mhm.
He's playing well, trying to work the board battles and stuff, but I mean, he gets into the shooting areas, but no one can get him the puck. So he's really got to play in your top six if he's going to be with the big club. If they're not going to play him in the top six and send him back to the AHL so he can have some confidence and score goals at a high pace. So I would expect maybe a change to see Sasson or someone like that coming back in on Thursday. And maybe I don't know. I'd like to say a trade's coming, but who knows? Who knows?
Okay, Dustin. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, so we'll talk to you on Thursday, I guess, when the Canucks face LA at home at Rogers Arena.
Absolutely, and I hope it's better news.
Yeah, me too, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your evening, brother.
You as well, and thank you, chat, for the good questions. We will talk to everyone very soon.
Nothing is perfect.